Good morning. Nothing will wake you up faster than seeing the cows out of the fence. So George and Miles, we've been having them in their closed pen. It's got 4 strands of electrical fence. Then we've been letting them out on pasture, and we've been bringing them in at night. And a couple of nights now we've let them stay out on pasture. Well, this morning I've been seeing Miles over here roaming around. I don't know where George is, but let's see if we can get him back in the pen. I think we can with some grain, but now we gotta find George. He might still be out in the pasture. He could be roaming too. Who knows? Miles, what are you doing? What are you doing way over there? Where's George? You want some grain? Come on, we'll go get you some grain. We have them trained pretty good to grain, so I feel good that we'll be able to get them with grain. It's looking like I'm seeing some fence posts down over there. So I don't know what happened last night, but I don't see George yet either. I guess we'll have to get a bucket of grain and see what happens. Come on, Miles. Where's George? I don't see George. I see the fence over there is all messed up. Not sure what happened. Come on, Miles. You want this? All right, we got Miles. That was fairly easy. Gave him some grain, put his halter on him, walked him back in. Now we just gotta go find George. I don't see him anywhere, so yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Fence is down there, and it looks like that corner post is broken. Not sure what happened. I'm not seeing George over here. I didn't see him up above where Miles came from. Well, let's walk up that way and see if we can find him. George! He sometimes comes to his name, so we'll see. George, where are you? All right, I'm not seeing him anywhere, so time to take a side-by-side ride and see if we can find him. There's plenty of feed around, so he could be anywhere. I don't think he'd go too far because he wants to be by cows. Cows are herd animals. They don't want to be by themselves, so let's take a ride down this way, see if we find him over here, and if we don't, we'll head back up. Over this way, let's head back the other way. Him and Miles are usually like pretty close to each other, so he's gonna be around here somewhere, and they usually go back and forth between the pasture and the barn, so I know he'll be back at some point. I hope he'll be back at some point. I'd just like to know where he is. I mean, I'm assuming something must have spooked them last night if they broke the fence the way they did. Drove past the barn, the big barn, and I'm still not seeing him. I honestly thought he'd be right in this area somewhere, so that's got me a little concerned now, I'm not gonna lie. Cows don't tend to go far from each other, so I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. Let's go over to the pasture where they were and check and see the broken fence and see what we can see over there for signs. Maybe it'll give us an idea of where he would have went, because I don't understand why he's not around. He should be somewhere right in this area. Definitely has me a little concerned because usually cows don't go very far from each other. I would have thought we would have seen him by now. We went down that way quite a bit. We went over this way quite a bit. This fence is pulled there. The corner was over there. It's broken and it's pulled that way. So I wonder what happened. All right, guys, I found him and he's not alive. I don't know what happened. He must have got spooked, ran over here, fell off the rock wall, and he is down here. I have no clue. George is usually the super mellow one. This is heartbreaking. Heartbreaking, guys. This is devastating. Oh, guys, this is terrible. I don't know why that would have happened and what would have spooked him. But something spooked him bad. I feel terrible. So terrible. I gotta tell Gina the news now. I wonder what time it happened. We didn't hear anything last night. So we have a fence out over here. And for some reason, they must have been over here. Something spooked them. I mean, the fence is all the way over here. They've been really good with the fence. They haven't bothered it. And for some reason, he went over there. He must have went down that little rock wall. Yeah. We had some big plans for George. We had some things we hadn't been telling you guys yet. So that is devastating. I gotta go share the news with Gina. Oh, guys, not a good morning. Not a good morning. Not a good way to start the one at all. I don't know what happened. One of the weird parts is we've had them for a little while now, over a month, and he's been super chill, very good with us, good in the fences. They don't bother the fences. So I don't know what would have scared him last night. Something must have spooked him and he must get all tangled up and tripped and fell. I don't know, just a freak accident. Here comes Gina. All right, so I just broke the news to Gina. As you can see, Miles is chill, George was chill, so we're really not sure what happened at all. We've been working with them for, how long have we had him now?
I don't even know what month it is. We get him in April?
April. So we've had him for about a month, maybe 2 months, 6 weeks or so. We've been working with him, brushing him twice a day, feeding him grain. So when I saw Miles loose, I was like, no big deal. I'm going to get some grain. He's going to come over to me, and then we'll find George. So I did that. I gave him some grain, put the halter on him, walked back, and then I started looking for George. And that's when I showed you guys the fence, and I'm not sure what happened. So normally at night, we'll come back in and we'll put them in the pasture area. We'll grain them. We were out last night when we came back. They were sleeping. So like, okay, we'll just let them be. We don't need to grain them. The grain's just a treat. So I wasn't expecting anything. I saw Miles out this morning. I'm like, all right, he was probably, what has happened in the past when we've left Cookie and Azalea out. Cookie, if he sleeps near the fence, he must like roll under it when he's sleeping. And then he gets out from under the fence, and then you'll see him roaming around right by his mom, and we'll let him in the fence, no big deal. So that's what I figured happened to Miles. So I'm like, all right, no big deal, we'll get him back.
So Al said Miles is out, so he went out, and then I see that Miles is back in the fence, because I was getting ready for the day. And then I see him driving, I'm like, is George missing? And then he said yes, and I'm like, seriously? So when I started walking down, so I was going to come try to search.
Yep, and then right after Gina texted me and I said yes, that's when I found George over there. So we're thinking what happened is he must have got spooked sometime last night, pulled the fence, and then we have the rock wall, and I'm assuming he must have ran off the rock wall, tripped, and broke his neck. That's the only thing I can think of. They're very good with the electrical fence. They don't bother it when they're out on pasture. They're super chill. Miles is the steer, and he is actually a little bit more rambunctious than George. He was the bull. He was super chill. He would push Miles around, kind of showing him who's boss, but he would never like bother us. He'd just let us brush him. Miles likes brushing a little bit better. Like he'll let you brush him a little bit better, but George, he likes the brushing, and he's super chill with us.
Kind of just, I mean, we've been letting him out in the field. He just falls behind. He's just wicked, just puppy-like.
Yep.
This is so hard to like share the news. Like it hurts us inside and stuff, and then tell everybody, and it's really hard.
So we got George and Miles, Scottish Highlanders. One of the big things we wanted to do was breed them with 𝑀𝑎𝑖𝑙 in the future.
And hopefully her future
calves. So we wanted a few things. We got a goose that just landed over there. We wanted a few things. We wanted the Scottish Highlander in with the Jersey because they're not as picky eaters. Scottish Highlands will eat a lot more. They'll just graze a lot better. And also, we just found out, we hadn't shared with you guys yet. We were hoping, we had George tested. George was A2, and so is 𝑀𝑎𝑖𝑙. So we would have had Scottish Highlander cross that are A2. So it's bad enough that we lost George, and then we just found out a few days ago he is A2. It's that much harder because it's kind of hard to find all that stuff. And,
it's so hard, and this, like, they're awesome.
They're super chill. The personalities have been great. We also want to start to get into beef cows. We hadn't shared that yet. So there's like a bunch of things we've been working on that we haven't shared just because not everything's lined up yet. So we've been getting super excited with our plans, getting ready to share. And then for this to happen, it's terrible. And it's hard to share with you guys when stuff like this happens. And then when you have other ideas that you had planned for them, it makes it even that much harder for all of it.
Yeah, we don't even know, like, what's the next steps now for moving forward.
Literally, this just happened 5 minutes ago. We just figured out with George, so we still have to...
We just felt like, like he was supposed to be here and things were lining up, and, like, we just have really big plans, and it just stinks in so many different directions.
Right. George was a really cool cow. He was just getting really good with us, like Olivia, all of us. Like I said, Gina was saying, he was following us around. We'd walk out to pasture. I'd call his name, George, Miles. George was the first one to come. If they're out in pasture, I'd just holler George, and then next thing I know, I'd see him coming up the little alleyway, walking over, and we'd shut the gate. So,
and now, I mean, poor Miles.
Yep. I mean, Miles is chill. He's whatever, but yeah. I have no idea.
Now he doesn't have George.
No, he doesn't have George. We've got to figure out a bunch of things now.
So many things.
We have to figure out a bunch of things. We have some other things going on with the cattle, so there's just a lot of things up in the air. We'll be able to share them with you soon, but I don't like sharing stuff that hasn't, like, completely happened yet. Like, we just found out George was A2, so we hadn't shared that news yet. We were waiting. We got other things we're working on, but nothing's, like, completely set in stone yet, so I hate to share stuff and then be like, oh, sorry, guys, that didn't line up or something fell through. So there's been a lot of things that we've been working on that seem like they're about ready to all come together to share, and then it's devastating enough with George, and now we just got to kind of... I'm going to have to go. I don't know what happened with him, so we're not going to do anything with the meat. So I'm going to have to go I'm going to have to go recover him, and then I'm going to dig a hole and bury him because I don't know. We don't know what happened. We don't know when it happened. If he was super stressed out when it happened.
Yeah, it could have happened
meat's kind of tainted.
Night.
Could have happened last night at we don't know what time. So I got to kind of recover him. It's not going to be easy.
I don't think I can help you.
No, I'm not gonna ask you to help me, and then I gotta find a place where I wanna bury him. So it's terrible. And then we gotta make some other phone calls, try to figure out some other things. We gotta figure out stuff with Miles.
I'm sure the people we got them from are gonna be upset.
Yeah.
Because this is like, you raise these animals, and you put your heart and soul in them.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if bear or coyote or what would have happened, but
we don't think he was just trying to escape. That's definitely not.
They're very chill and mellow, slow moving. I mean, even when I saw Miles out at first this morning, I'm like, oh, is that a bear or is that Miles? And I was like, nope, it's just Miles out grazing. So I'm like, I got my clothes on, got up, I got out here to do it, but I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I gotta get this done right this second. I was like, he's gonna be there, and he was.
If he left the pasture because he got out just because the fencing, he wouldn't have been running. He wouldn't have been running. So he wouldn't have just he would have been kind of slowly checking out the ground. Like if something happened, so that he would have bolted or something and didn't know where he was going. This was something else.
We're gonna stop right here right this second. We gotta go milk 𝑚𝑎𝑖𝑙 and do all the other morning chores because no matter what, that stuff doesn't stop. I am assuming that Miles was out and about quite a bit last night too, because usually this time in the morning they're not lying down. They're usually up and about, getting ready to eat some grain, hay. I already gave him grain, so maybe that's why too, because I brought him in here with grain. But usually we put him out on pasture right about now, so he's gonna take a nap right now because he was out all night. And then we got a goose. I'm not sure where that goose came from, but like Gina just said, maybe that's what scared him last night. That seems kind of weird just to have one goose around.
And they kind of come abruptly, like all of a sudden. So, I mean, that could spook something. It
Yeah.
spooked me.
Maybe that's what scared George last night. Would make sense because they're usually very chill, and that's something new on the homestead. It's not our goose, it's a wild goose, so he could have flew in last night or something. I don't know. What are you doing, Mr. Goose? Early when I was over here looking for George, I saw a weird flattened out spot, and it got me thinking about the goose. And then Gina said when she was walking down here to help me come find George, she saw the goose earlier. I saw it flying above head, and when I saw it earlier, just flying above head, I was like, man, that's weird just to see a single goose by itself. And it got me thinking, over here, I saw some flattened out grass in a weird spot. So I'm wondering if the goose landed over here and then scared George. I don't know. The only thing we can think of is that weird random goose must have landed down here last night and spooked the cows, and the cows ran that way, because over there where that little flattened area that I showed you, I'm assuming that the goose must have laid there or something and scared the cows. I don't know. Super freak thing it seems like that happened. And that's the only thing that can explain it to me, is that weird random goose scared him. I don't know. They could have went so many different directions, but he went over that way. All right, so after disposing of George, I guess is the best way to put it. George was bloated, so it definitely happened last night, and I also found out that he had a broken horn. That's definitely what happens. He must have got spooked, went off the wall, and tumbled or something, and broke his neck, and his horn must have hit because one of his horns was broken. Because I was thinking about saving the skull, and yeah, that was not a possibility either. I was going to be moving him from this area shortly up above the house. I wanted him to eat down the grass over here, and then I was going to put the meat birds over here to get this grass growing again. So I just one of those things. It's very unfortunate. There's no answers to why. Just a freak odd accident. Homesteading and farming is definitely hard. It has its ups and downs, and this is the hardest day we've ever had on the homestead. Nothing compares to the day we're having today. It's been terrible. Usually we lose animals, you lose chickens here and there. We've never lost a pig. We've had some take off on us, but they've always come back. We've never lost a large animal. So this one really stings, and we had some big plans with George. So that really stings even harder because of that. And like we said, he was A2 or was A2. So that made the plans even better. But we're gonna need a minute to recoup and figure this out of what we're gonna be doing now. But man, it is definitely a rough day on the homestead. I got George all taken care of. I need to finish picking up this fence, and we gotta keep an eye on Miles, see how he's doing. He's acting fine, but he's by himself for now. He's hanging out with the goats, or should I say the goats are hanging out with him. So we'll keep an eye on him, see how he's doing. And we'll be back here on our next normal video, because we have a project we're gonna be starting that needs to get done, and the weather is perfect for it. I had planned on starting that today, but that's not gonna happen today. But it will tomorrow. So I'll see you guys right back here in the next video. Thanks for coming along on our homesteading journey. You guys are a huge blessing to us in our homestead. Not the video we were ever expecting to make by any means. It was raw, it was real life. So hope you guys understand. See you guys right back here in the next video. Bye.